Do 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 do.
What? Is that real? Welcome to the first segment of our podcast. What? Is that real?
The purpose of this podcast is to educate our audience on popular conspiracy theories. Reminder that these are theories, meaning that whether you believe them or do not believe them is entirely up to you. Our sole purpose is only to provide you with information so you can create your opinion.
We're going to kick off our podcast with a very controversial topic, Avril Lavigne or Melissa Vandella.
Here are the facts. We all know Avril Lavigne, the iconic pop-punk singer of our childhood. She was born in Ontario, Canada in 1984 and released her first album in 2002 when she was just 18 years old.
Up until the point of her album release, she was very used to living a normal life. Her newfound fame presented new problems that she wasn't used to dealing with, more specifically, paparazzi. Avril was not the type to be friendly and smiley all the time, so she decided to hire a look-alike to walk around LA and pose for paparazzi in place of herself. This is Avril on the left and Melissa Vandella on the right, Avril's doppelganger.
The duo quickly became best friends. Sources say that Avril and Melissa would often hang out in the studio and thought it would be funny to teach Melissa how to sing like Avril so that they could mess with people.
In 2003, while Melissa was still working for Avril, Avril's grandfather passed away and it was a breaking point for Avril. She was caught crying on stage, in interviews, and would lock herself in her apartment. It resulted in a very depressing album. Other sources said that she threatened suicide and made several attempts.
This is where it gets tricky. The theory is that Avril succeeded in one of her suicide attempts in late 2003 at the peak of her career. So, instead of letting the news of Avril's death be released to the media, her managers used her lookalike, Melissa, to live on the rest of her life as Avril Lavigne. Since Avril had already recorded her second album, the record company decided to release it. All of a sudden, we don't hear anything about Melissa anymore. Coincidence? You decide.
In 2007, Avril, really Melissa, released a new album and a new look. She wore dresses and was very friendly with paparazzi, smiling and no longer afraid of the camera. Avril's music was a completely different genre. Her birthmarks disappeared, the shape of her chin was different, she gained a tattoo that Melissa had, and as soon as the theory was presented to her in an interview, she got nervous, shaky, and tried to play it off as a joke.
Her Canadian accent disappeared and many of her new songs had lyrics speaking about a girl who was going through a hard time. Could these lyrics be about Avril? In conclusion, there are many signs that fans have gathered over the years that Avril Lavigne was replaced by Melissa. We encourage you to research this theory as there's a lot of details we're leaving out.
We'll leave you with the same question we started with, Avril or Melissa?
For our next theory, we're going to be talking about something a little crazy. We're going to be discussing the mystery of the 1959 incident taking place in Russia's Dyatlov Pass. It all started January 25th, 1959, when 10 students began their journey into the Ural Mountains. By the 28th, one of the hikers turned back due to illness, leaving 9 hikers left in the group. They were supposed to reach their destination by February 12th, but they never made it that far. On February 26th, 5 of the hikers' bodies were found by a search and rescue team, with 4 of the hikers still missing, their bodies not being discovered until May 4th. It was determined that 6 of the hikers died from hypothermia. The other 3, however, is where the mystery comes in. One of the hikers suffered from major skull damage. The other 2 team members suffered from chest injuries doctors compared to getting hit by a car traveling at high speeds. One of the hikers found missing both her eyes and tongue. The official conclusion says that the deaths were caused by an unknown compelling force. In addition to all this, the hikers' clothes were all strongly radioactive, and the tent they were staying in was cut open from the inside, suggesting they were trying to escape from something. It is believed that aliens were involved in the deaths of these 9 hikers. The force that killed the 3 hikers was too strong to be caused by a human, and there are no signs of an avalanche having taken place. Given the radiation on their clothes and the bizarre state the bodies were found in, it all points to aliens. To further compel this theory, it was reported by hikers, the meteorology service, and even the military that strange orange spheres were seen in the night sky the night of the incident. To this day, the Dyatlov Pass incident is unsolved, and the bizarre mystery has raised many theories in the community. The alien theory leaves you asking one thing: what? Is that real? Wanna go squatching? Hi, I'm Jim Johnson from Jim Johnson's Super Spiritual Journeys, and I'm here to tell you about this exciting and amazing opportunity. In America, we love big things. Big hair, big buildings, big ships, big guns, big you-know-whats, and Bigfoot. Let's get into America's better version of a jungle, the forest. That's right, we might not have all those cool birds and reptiles, vines and other tropical what have you nots, but it's good old American wildlife. So gear up because Jim Johnson is taking you squatching. Come on down to Washington State, the heart of the Squatch. Once your payment has been received, Jim Johnson will bring you and your party into the heart of the forest to go camping, eat some good old American hot dogs, and most importantly, hunt the biggest squatch you'll ever see. Jim Johnson's Super Spiritual Tours is not responsible for any squatch or non-squatch related damage that may come to you or your party. Beware the squatch, no photography, flash or non-flash is allowed. If you bait the squatch, you may just get ate by the squatch, so be careful. Contact Jim Johnson's Super Spiritual Tours for more information. Participants must sign the legal waiver agreement before submitting payment.
I'm sure all of y'all have heard of John F. Kennedy. Aside from being super hot, John F. Kennedy was also one of our former presidents. Unfortunately, on November 22nd, 1963, John F. Kennedy was involved in a fatal sniper incident. There are many conspiracies surrounding the death of JFK. According to Google search data, more people are interested in the JFK assassination than the Watergate scandal or the Bill Clinton impeachment. One of the strangest theories surrounding the JFK assassination is the Umbrella Man theory. In the video, we can see that there is a suspicious figure on the sidelines holding an umbrella. Theorists have dubbed him the Umbrella Man. Many people find it strange that this man is holding an umbrella on a sunny day, but honestly, he could have just been using it to shade himself from the sun. However, many people think that this man could be the one who delivered the final blow to President John F. Kennedy. The Umbrella Man can be seen pumping his umbrella moments before Kennedy is murdered. Some people think it may have been a signal for the shooter, but for a while, the most popular explanation was that the umbrella was a secret weapon that shot a poison dart into Kennedy's neck to stop him from moving, allowing Oswald, the shooter, to deliver the final blow. 15 years after the shooting, the Umbrella Man himself testified in a congressional meeting stating that his umbrella was indeed not a weapon. But today, 6 out of 10 Americans do not believe the official statement made during that congressional meeting, so who knows what really happened. In fact, there is no real evidence supporting that the man testifying was even the actual Umbrella Man. Robert Cutler, a Massachusetts architect and a graduate from Harvard University, created a diagram explaining how the umbrella may have acted as a gun. Richard Bissell, an ex-CIA agent, confirmed that the umbrella gun does in fact exist, and it did exist when Kennedy was assassinated. Charles Sensini, the man who developed the umbrella needle gun, said it was accurate up to 100 meters. At the time of JFK's assassination, the Umbrella Man was less than 20 yards away from Kennedy. The actual throat wound on Kennedy was small and round, the perfect size for something that would have come from the Umbrella Man's umbrella gun. With that being said, I think the Umbrella Man is more compelling than it seems.
The Titanic. You can practically hear My Heart Will Go On playing in the background as you say the title. Did you hear it? The Titanic. And not the heartbreaking fictional tale of Rose and Jack, the true story of the sinking of the Titanic on April 14, 1912, where 1,503 people died. It may not have been an accident, though. A popular conspiracy theory surrounding the sinking of the Titanic has been circulating for quite some time now. The theory states that the Titanic was swapped with its sister ship, the Olympic, and intentionally sank as part of an insurance scam. The story begins here. September 11, 1911, the Olympic collided with another ship. White Star Line would lose an immense amount of money because the Olympic would have to be taken out of service for repairs, and the Titanic's maiden voyage would need to be pushed back. Also, White Star Line wouldn't be able to receive insurance money from the Olympic's crash. So, they devised a plan to swap the Olympic with the Titanic and crash the Olympic again for the insurance money. There were only a few small differences between the sister ships. All they had to do was replace the flooring. They thought that they had everything figured out and nobody would uncover their sinister plan, but oh, were they wrong. The real Titanic was pictured during its manufacturing with 14 evenly spaced portholes on the sea deck, but pictured on its maiden voyage with 16 unevenly spaced portholes. The Olympic had 16 unevenly spaced portholes. Another trait that they couldn't cover up were the numbers assigned to them. After the Olympic was taken out of service in 1935, boards removed from the ship had the number 401 stamped on them. 401 was the number assigned to the Titanic. Multiple rich and famous passengers on the Titanic canceled their trip at the last minute due to illnesses, including the owner of White Star Line, J.P. Morgan. Those who canceled due to illness were seen shortly after on a different vacation in perfect health. Did J.P. Morgan and others cancel because he was planning to sink the ship and notified his wealthy first-class passengers of the intended sinking? Which ship lies at the bottom of the Atlantic? You decide.
Y'all want to see a water ghost? Ever wondered what the wrecked remains of the Titanic, or Olympic, look like in real life? Do you want to feel just a little bit closer to our main man Leo, or is Bigfoot not your thing? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then Jim Johnson's Super Spiritual Journeys has just a thing for you. In addition to offering our classic Bigfoot hunt, we also have a guided underwater tour of the Titanic. Join me on one of our super spiritual journeys where we take you down under to explore the paranormal and have a good time. Come along as we explore the totally legitimate remains of the Titanic. Now open to the public, the Titanic has been renovated for your entertainment. Come satisfy your demon hunting needs. Let us take you underwater to see water demons, poltergeists, thousands of those tiny little orb things y'all just love seeing. So come on down, you won't regret it. No flash photography allowed, but if you got one of those fancy dancy waterproof cameras, feel free to take pictures without flash. Jim Johnson's Super Spiritual Tours is not responsible for any possible possessions, drownings, or any other supernatural harm that may come to you or your party.
On to our next theory. I'm here to educate you on the subject of lizard people. Now, before you think I'm crazy for sharing this with you, 4% of Americans genuinely believe in lizard people, while an additional 7% of Americans were unsure. So try to keep an open mind here. Lizard people are essentially cold-blooded humanoid reptilian creatures who can shapeshift into human forms whose goal is world dominance. According to the believers, lizard people have had their claws in humankind since ancient times, and many previous and current world leaders are thought to be of this species. Now, if you're anything like anyone else, you're probably wondering how people even came up with the lizard people theory. In the 2008 Minnesota senatorial race, several people didn't like any of the candidates represented on the ballot. So they wrote in lizard people for their vote. What started out as somewhat of a practical joke became a whole following. Experts on the subject say that sometimes certain features can give lizard people away, like green eyes, good eyesight or hearing, a sense of not belonging to the human race, having a smile where bottom teeth show, or abnormally sized pupils. A few celebrities that are assumed to be lizard people, based on video and picture evidence, are Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Madonna, Angelina Jolie, and Katy Perry. Are you a lizard person? Is the person next to you a lizard person? Possibly, only you can know.
That concludes this week's installment of What? Is that real?
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this week's theories.
Disclaimer to any government officials who may be listening, I'm sorry, don't at me.
Tune in next week where we'll be discussing cryptids, the Phoenix Lights, and the moon landing.
See you next week. Bye!